¿Comenzamos? Buenas tardes, good afternoon. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining. Thank you very much for our panelists. We are going to talk about artificial intelligence in the next 45 minutes. It's, I think, the topic that has been mentioned the most during today. Artificial intelligence is changing the way we work. It's opening also amazing opportunities to increase efficiency, productivity, and also innovation. Spain, with its talent, diverse sectors, and also the continuous effort in digitalization and innovation, it's very well prepared to capture the opportunity of AI. Our companies are beginning to embrace AI, are increasing their productivity, both nationally and globally. In a study that we will release soon, there's an interesting fact that is 43% of our companies surveyed states that are prepared or very well prepared to adopt AI in Spain. It's the highest rate in Europe. The interest of AI is increasing. It helps us with things like improving efficiency, productivity, managing risks, and also increasing revenues. And the speed of adoption, it's going to be faster than in previous tech trends. In fact, 70% of the surveyed companies states that the change in their businesses and industries will happen in less than 3 years. Currently, the money is being put on use cases related to customer interactions, marketing, improving operations, making code, but the expectation is to expand to the rest of the operations soon. And this is not an opportunity only for businesses, but also for the society that will transform in many ways. So for that reason, it's also an opportunity for public sector to cap this opportunity and to invest. And this is something that our government began to do in the last term, and for sure will be also supporting the adoption in the coming years. Thanks to our global companies and thanks to companies like we have here today, we are able also to advance some of the challenges the companies will face. For the transformation that we are living, we are also transitioning from the experimental phase to a scaling up AI. And this will present some challenges related to talent, related to change management, ethics, compliance, data management, data privacy, and also the modernization of data tech platforms. So these are the things we want to cover today. We have the privilege to have Alberto, Fuencisla, Irene, that you have also a very good knowledge and view about what is happening globally, but also locally. I would like to start talking about the level of awareness in the boards of directors to take advantage of the AI will require relevant investments in our companies. And first question is, what do you think about the level of awareness in the boards of directors in our companies about the opportunity, but also the investments required? And second is, how do you see our companies in terms of adoption compared to other geographies? If we are on par, we are ahead, or we are behind? First, Alberto.
Okay, great. So thank you for inviting me first. We see Spain as a very good position in Europe in terms of adoption of artificial intelligence. So if you look at the IBEX 35, probably we are in almost all the conversation in all the board. They are not just experimenting, but thinking on scaling up and moving to a huge deployment, selecting use cases always, but use cases that have millions of users impacted. And for example, Caixa is one example of saving bank that took a very bold decision to invest heavily in creating copilots or using generative AI for private banking, for assistant in contact center, for fraud detection, for many other scenarios, and making a bold investment sponsored by the CEO. I mean, so it's not just a technical decision, it's a board decision to take this investment ahead. We are seeing other areas like Madrid community, the health system for the rare disease. CERMAS is a department that analyzes disease in childs that are 1 out to 100,000 cases, and they use generative AI already to help the doctor to detect those cases. Or companies like Ferrovial that are deploying for 24,000 employees generative AI to help them be more agile, more productive in projects, in searching information, in talking to the company, talking to the business. It's the new concept, no? Or of all the applications. If you look at the rest of the companies, 33% of the companies of more than 250 employees in Spain are already using AI in some degree or different degree. So this is a pretty good number, because when you compare to Europe, this is one area where we are seeing the opportunity. And the reason is we have the talent, we have the infrastructure in terms of communication. Many of us are investing in the country in terms of regions, data centers. We see this a greenfield of opportunity, and also the agility that you are seeing in the public administration is paying back. I mean, we are one of the most digitalized public administration in Europe as well. So build AI on top of this is relatively straightforward. So you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You can build new system, new assistant to talk to the citizen. You can provide agility in justice processes. We have many scenarios where we are working with public administration as well, investing on AI. No? So answering your question, I think I'm proud to say that Spain is in a very honored position when you compare to Europe.
Good. I don't know if Irene Fuencisla, you want to add anything?
Yeah, 2023 has been by far the year of AI. That topic has actually arisen in most of our conversations, especially since ChatGPT made it available to all publics, not only to companies or to experts. We are seeing all boards and leaderships really interested and making minor steps towards AI adoption, but awareness is already there. The released ONSI report, the 2023 one, says that Spain is pretty well positioned, but it's only 11.8% at this point of companies in Spain that have at least 10 employees working on AI. So, I mean, awareness is there, intention is there, adoption is still a minority. There's two barriers for AI adoption. One is availability, the second is affordability. Availability is something that actually companies are responsible for because they need to understand where the opportunities are and embrace them. But affordability is also a responsibility for companies that are offering AI services. And this is where open source models play a key role, because otherwise, for example, large models may be extremely expensive for small and medium companies. And if we want all of them to be able to embrace AI opportunities, we need to make these models affordable and not only available for deep pockets of very big companies.
Just to build on what has been said, I would completely support Alberto's point on the fact that large companies in Spain are fully in. And it's not just deep level of awareness, huge level of urgency, but they've also already implemented AI. They understand AI. And the key question is, how do they actually scale it and deeply transform the business? And this is what I think we are going to see in the coming years. Also, to build on this, I think Spain in the last year has done a phenomenal job in developing the startup ecosystem. When I compare it to 10 years ago, the level of this and the activity and the energy that we have in the startup ecosystem in Spain, with very big developments in Madrid, Valencia, Barcelona, this is really booming, and we are seeing lots of innovation also coming from those startups. And so I think Spain is in a good position there, and we are seeing lots of new companies being built up, in the startup ecosystem. And so more innovation is going to come from there. And I guess the big challenge for Spain is the fact that we have a huge level of small, very micro companies, I will call them, not even SMBs, really micro companies. And so I think the challenge here for the government is to think about how do we support the whole SMB and micro SMBs at scale to embrace this technology. The government, for digitalization, they did develop the digital toolkit. So I think they will need now to think about what is the version 2.0, of the digital toolkit, to make sure all these micro businesses are also able to embrace and to use AI and to bring down some of those barriers that we are seeing in the market.
Thank you all. We've talked a little bit about talent. Talent is key in all businesses, but to embrace AI, it's critical to count on the right talent to develop and implement AI. And if we want to lead the adoption of AI as a country, we will have also to develop specific skills on AI. Could you, Fuencisla, tell us about what is your vision about the specific skills we need to develop?
So if we think that AI is an opportunity that works across every single sector, every single role, and is going to affect every single job, and this is our vision, this is what we actually think. First, we need top management, middle management, and we need every single critical function in the economy, policymakers, regulators, to have a minimum understanding on AI. And that's the bare minimum, everyone will need to have. That's the first thing. Second thing, we will need to have much more, data experts, machine learning experts, people that know how to train models, how to apply those models. So all those roles will need to develop, and we need more critical mass there. But there are also new roles that are popping up, like what we call the prompt engineers, knowing what are the key questions and how to ask questions to this model to get the right answer. That's going to be a new, kind of a new job, no? But also experts on AI ethics that we are going to be discussing further, or how to control AI or supervise AI. So there are going to be new roles that we need to train people on. What I think it's also very important here is that it's not just about this technical expertise. For us, in our view, soft skills will continue to be absolutely critical here. So developing critical thinking, problem solving, ability to adapt and to do change management and to embrace change, those are going to remain absolutely critical. Having talent that is able to connect technology with business, those roles are going to be still very, very, very critical. And I would say that I think in Spain, we've proven over, Google has been in Spain now for 20 years. Last year we celebrated our 20th birthday. And we've seen how Spain has embraced the digital transformation, and we've been able to do that successfully. We've been able to upskill and reskill our workforce. We've been able to adapt to change. We've been able to do that in an effective way. For me, this is more of the same. We need to build on that muscle that we've already trained, and so we need to continue doing that, that journey.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Fuencisla. Alberto, I don't know if you want to add anything. I think that one of our assets in the country is our talent.
Exactly.
It's very
I was going to say that. Yeah.
Valuable, and it's, let's say, when we go abroad, people recognize that our talent it's very differential, right? So how do you see, from your point of view as CEO of Microsoft?
So two things that I'd like to add on top of Fuencisła's comment, and I fully agree with her. Number one is there is a big opportunity of reskilling. The fact of using low-code, no-code scenarios that allow you to reskill BDMs or people that understand business. And let me give you an example. We have cases like Repsol that is massively training non-technical users to develop application without any single notion of coding. And they are using AI to enable those business users to develop simple application. This is a massive opportunity for all our big companies, but not only that, but also use those use cases to showcase to other small and medium business how it can be done. And we are part of an organization called Indesia. It's an organization where we have IBEX 35 and many hyperscalers to put in a kind of open source those use cases for a small business. Because I agree with Irene and with Fuencisla that we have an opportunity on the micro, for example, you may guess who is the biggest bakery in Spain. It's Repsol, with all the oil stations. They have the perfect algorithm to have the bread at the right temperature at the right moment. So this algorithm, through Indesia, we're publishing it, and they can be used by any SMBs. A good example where the IBEX 35 can help the rest of the ecosystem to develop. No? But to your point as well, we are the 4th country in Europe in number of people certified in cloud. Let me repeat that, the 4th one. So after Germany, UK, and France, which is a huge opportunity. I mean, in fact, we have many global companies hiring, coming here, building factories, building R&D centers, because we find a very good opportunity. And I think there is also a bigger opportunity, even bigger, working with the Ministry of Education, and in particular, vocational training is a massive opportunity. So we are working with the Ministry of Education to work on the redefinition of vocational training, and our ratio right now is 10% compared to Germany, which is almost 25% right now. So we have an opportunity to increase the critical mass of young population that we have ready for AI. So, I mean, in other words, I think I'm very optimistic on the opportunity that is here. No? In fact, as a matter of fact, Spain has been one of the countries from Microsoft where we are investing more, with 2 regions, one in Madrid, other in Zaragoza, and an R&D center of artificial intelligence in Barcelona. And the reason is because we see an opportunity of hiring people and also importing talent, no? Digital native to Spain. We have a sunny place to live, and it's very attractive as well, you know, in terms of bringing talent here. Very good.
Yeah, I would like to add 2 things. The first one is that given the pace at which AI is evolving, the key skills that we should demand here are the ability to learn and adapt to change quickly. This obviously applies to workers in the cutting-edge companies like the ones that we work for, but it also applies to all white collars that are linked to many AI developments that are happening now. And last year, and as I said, 2023 has been the year of AI. For professionals in this industry, it seemed to us that if you winked once, you miss things. So everyone needs to adapt on the go, and that is not only people's workers' responsibilities, it's also companies' responsibilities. And training people to upscale their skills, but also to reskill, it's essential for us moving forward. And there are many companies in Spain that are doing this, but I mean, there are some examples fantastic, like for example, Iveco, the Spanish vehicles manufacturer that has been training people on safety through technology and has seen major improvements doing this. And not all of them are white collars. I mean, many of them are not. And it applies to everyone that technology could be used to improve these processes. They saw that they saved 70% of the time. And I thought that someone was coming that way. They saved 75% of the time in training, but also they saw employee satisfaction growing by 84%. So, I mean, this is always going to be an asset. And also I agree with Fuencisla that soft skills, those ones that cannot be replaced by machines, are going to be key moving forward. Obviously, critical thinking and managing emotions, that's also essential, especially for for managing employees that feel that their jobs are going to be replaced, when many times their jobs are going to be made better and easier. So managing emotions is a leading skill moving forward, but also creativity. And Spain is a leading company when it comes to creativity, and this is something that we have to capitalize.
Yeah, and also I think that the flexibility of our people, right? So to adapt to different circumstances, we've demonstrated in the past, in the last years. For sure, we have to develop technical talent, but also to help the rest of the people that will be impacted by AI, sure. So thank you all. In such a context, the importance of ethical frameworks is amplified. How aware do you think Spanish companies are in establishing ethical frameworks, and how are they addressing this critical aspect, Alberto? What's your view on this?
First, I think we have been working since 2016 on creating the Office of Responsible AI. So we're inside Microsoft, we have been working since the beginning on not starting to bet on AI without betting at the same time on the ethical area. So I like to say you need to hire as many architects as lawyers to understand what are the implications, the legal implications you may have, and how to help the ecosystem to take the same perspective. I think the principle of adopting to the same speed ethical aspect like non-biased algorithm, privacy, and all those kind of aspects are the example is the AI Act, the European AI Act, the recent announcement that we have made, where Spain was leading to some extent the creation of this new AI Act. And I think it's a good example and a good testimony of the level of depth that we have in that sense, you know. So when we are starting a project of artificial intelligence at scale, I like to say that we need to have always, number one, strategy. So number one, CEO sponsoring it. Number two, you need to have change management. So HR need to be part of it because you're going to find cultural challenges. You need to have technology, and you need to have governance. So you need to have the implication of legal implication, ESG implication, how you're going to take the aspect of the algorithm can expose your credibility out there. I mean, if your algorithm has bias, you can be absolutely exposed. How you're going to manage traceability of data. In a world where all the applications are going to be AI-enabled, and most of your companies are already AI companies, you're going to need to manage traceability of the different SLMs or LLMs, which version, who's doing what, where do you have hallucination or not. So those kind of scenarios are basic. So we are working actively with most of the law firms like Cuatro Casas, Uria, to prepare them in the new world. So they are, in fact, adopting, and the first adopting AI. So they are better prepared to serve their customers because they are speaking the same language. No? So answering your question, I think we're on the right. I mean, it's hard to say you are ahead of Europe. You cannot be ahead of anybody because right now everybody is learning. So welcome to a world where every day is a learning day, and you wake up in the morning understanding AI in some way, and you go to bed with a completely different perspective. You know? So many companies are in the completely learning mode. But I like to say that we are in a good position because nobody or few companies are starting those projects from a technology perspective only. And those that are starting the project from a technology perspective, they fail. It's a mistake. It's just a proof of concept. And I think, I like to call it the selfie project. You take a selfie and say, hey, I'm using AI, nothing else. So the point is, you need to have it structural with the 4 pillars I mentioned, no? And part of it is ethics.
Very good. Irene, what's your view on ethics and how the companies are applying these frameworks?
So we talked a lot at the very beginning about boards and leaderships identifying opportunities. They are also responsible to identify challenges in order to build and deploy products responsibly. We just released, set out the principles for open source companies actually to embrace in order to be responsible when it comes to AI developments. The first one is to be transparent about the way systems work. The second one is not to do it alone. You have to collaborate with industry players, with governments, with academia, and with civil society in order to create a common framework for this. The third one is that systems have to be stress tested, and then it's an obligation to share the progress on your job as you keep iterating for others to learn and keep developing with you. When it comes to AI, to generative AI, you also have to be aware that many times the models will return inappropriate or inadequate outputs, and you have to be ready to be able to improve that on the go, because it's your responsibility actually to build securely and safely for future users.
I don't know your opinion, but in most of the cases, and it's, I think, quite common in our country, but we are more worried about doing than telling. And in this case, I think it's very important also to tell our employees, our customers, regulators, how we are using AI, what is the purpose, how we are building trust, what is the value we are capturing from AI. So I think that in our country in general, when we see other companies are much better than us promoting what they are doing. But I think that in this sense, all the companies will have to put effort to explain very well how we are implementing these frameworks, because I like the way you express the Facebook or the selfie. But we are hearing a lot about what are the use cases, what are the investments, etc. But we are not hearing a lot about how companies are establishing these ethics control frameworks, and we know that they are doing.
Absolutely. And sorry, I forgot to mention one thing. Spain is the first country in Europe establishing an AI agency by the government, focus 100% on taking care on how AI is being used, best practices, and that was a bold decision. So I think it's a very good one. No? And we are seeing many companies adopting AI in Spain in regulated industries. So Almiral, for example, is a pharma industry where they are using AI to generate all the report to talk to the regulator and detect issues, detect mistakes, simplify the testing of new drugs, of new pharma. So it's one of the most regulated industry, and they are using AI, and it's a great example. But I agree with you. I think we should better export in those cases or showcase in those cases. You know?
Showcase, and I would say also have a more open dialogue to learn together and to partner.
Yep.
Because again, as Alberto was saying, this is new for all of us. As tech companies, we are learning along the way. We did develop our own AI principles 6 years ago. We stress them every year. We had a very open debate on what did we learn, what's working, what's not working. We fine-tune them. We need to train our employees also for them to understand what it means and how to apply them. And we, the tech companies, have gone through a journey here already, and I think it's part of our responsibility also to share what have been our learnings and to make sure the rest of the companies learn from our mistakes also and from what we learned, and that we move the needle there very, very quickly. And this is actually going on. We are partnering with Odisea, which is a think tank, to develop GUIA, we call it, which is the guiding principles on AI, in which we are sharing, our learnings. And I think in Spain you see very high levels of collaboration in general, I think, in the industry and in the different industries. And here, of course, also public, private collaboration is going to be key. And it's part of our responsibility to partner together to advance much more quickly, because I think it's absolutely key. It's a bit of a journey, as we were saying. You start testing AI, you start running your pilots. That's not the moment to think about, the principles and if this bias or no. You just start learning, and then suddenly you see this. And when you are thinking about the scaling it, is when all these tough questions come in. And so we are now in that moment. So I would say I'm getting increased number of questions from the boards on hey, Fuen, what do you guys do on this? Can you share with us? This is coming now. It's the moment in which these kind of questions are coming much more often.
Yeah, I think that companies like ours are very connected of what is happening at global level. And I see that more and more the top of the management is asking what are the lessons learned, what are the key success factors to implement. And I mentioned at the beginning, I think that also we have very good global companies that operate in different markets and are applying AI. So I think in this sense, what I see is our companies is also looking outside and trying to adopt the best practices, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, and you say that very well. One area that is a key success factor also for many of the IBEX 35 is they are global companies and they are creating center of excellence, most of them deploying in different geographies those use cases. I think at the end, in a world where AI is going to be democratized and everybody will have access to the technology, no matter the size of the company, because at the end, what we are doing is, as hyperscaler, providing access to complex technology at an affordable price. So that's our mentality is, okay, everybody should be able to use algorithm, everybody should be able to use productivity tools where you have embedded AI startups, no matter the size of the company. Question is, how do I differentiate from others? And from my perspective, there are three factors. Number one is your algorithm. So it's how are you training, are you taking care of your algorithm, are you developing new algorithm, you are differentiating yourself from the algorithm. Number two is the data. We can cover that later, but the quality of your data, the traceability of your data, how you manage the data. And number three is your use cases, and that's gold. So, and that's come to the first point is, right now, the key in AI is not answer question, is be able to ask the right questions. So how do you ask the right question? How do you find the right use cases? You know? I'm hearing many customers saying, you know what, I start 59 proof of concept, and almost 50 fail. Or fail, no, they didn't fail, they work, but they are not really relevant. Now, 9 of them or 5 of them are gold. So the key is to find those use cases. And that's where I think what I said at the beginning of sharing from the IBEX 35 to the smaller one, the use cases are absolutely key. Contact center, automation, sales, private banking. So you can find specific use cases that can be replicated. You know?
Talking about collaboration, talking about data, most of the most promising use cases will require the combination of data from different sectors. We are saying more and more how some of the use cases will also provoke the converge of some sectors. How do you see also our companies, how they are approaching to this need, how they are also enabling this data sharing between companies, Irene?
It's data sharing is essential to AI development, but it's not only on companies. There is an urgent need for governments to collaborate, especially democracies, to set the framework for AI to operate. And we, as companies, have been asking for this for years right now. We, as META, support a risk-based, technology-neutral approach to AI regulation. We have some concerns about the way generative AI regulation is being approached, but the key reason for the approach that I have just shared is that we should be focusing when it comes to AI regulation on the what, on the potential outcomes and the positive ones, obviously the challenge, but also the challenges that we may actually face on the way, and not on the how. The what is much more important, because an outcome approach, an output approach, is much more future-proof than a technology-focused one, that given the pace AI is evolving and has kept evolving every other week, would become irrelevant and obsolete in weeks. We are pretty happy about the way not only the EU, and this includes Spain, but also the US, India, and others are approaching AI regulation. And we think that this is actually the path to move forward.
Fuencisla, I don't know if you want to add, because
yeah.
Google is, let's say, no, the company of data.
Yeah, maybe a different perspective here. So, again, we've been working on AI for the last 7 years, and we always saw AI as something that was going to be deeply transformational. And it was also part of our responsibility to democratize it, to really give access quickly to some of the developments. There is not just a topic here around data sharing, but also sharing research, sharing insights, sharing developments. We in Google, we publish more than 1,000 papers a year on research, and we've been extremely active on AI forums and sharing what have been our advancements. And that's part of our DNA, that's part of the way we think. We have done some breakthrough discoveries, like, you know, an algorithm that is able to predict the composition of the proteins, and we've given this for free to the scientific community. And this is going to be developing breakthrough innovations in terms of vaccination, medicine discovery. So there is also that part for me to your question on how do we handle and how do we distribute all this progress. There is, of course, also a big question around where do you share, no? How far you share and where do you stop sharing, and what is kind of proprietary from you and you need to keep, and what do you share to the community. And again, this is still new, so we are also testing, you know, and learning how far you can go here, how much you can share, and also how much you can share in a way that you limit the misuse of this technology also. And again, I think it's still too new to be clear on, you know, where do you need to stop. And that's something I think as a company we are also exploring, and we are learning where we need to stop and where we need to continue collaborating and sharing with the ecosystem.
Yeah. Alberto, I don't know if you want to.
Just to add on top, three aspects that I think are relevant on the world of data. Number one, we believe on data dignity. We are a platform company. We believe that data is the number one currency that you have as an individual and as a company. But obviously, there are scenarios where in the world of AI, you need to train algorithms, and there is a new world of companies that will, startups and many other companies, training algorithms with synthetic data that, by the way, don't have any bias and is way more advanced to train LLMs and SLMs. That's the number one, you know, reflection. But the number two for me is there is a space of sharing data in ecosystem, and that's where we are working, for example, in the tourism industry, with the concept of Gaia X and data space, where you can have, and in fact we had a great MVP with Amadeus, with Visa and other companies working on a scenario where you can share information about tourism trend, where any SMB, any hotel, any restaurant can get access to those data, can get access of what kind of visit are you having right now in Alicante, what is the concentration of tourism from each nationality, so you can adapt your offer to the demand that is coming. So create those space of data sharing, we believe, is absolutely the way to go, because we are in a country of a lot of SMBs. So we need to be sure that we guarantee that the bigger ones are sharing data with the rest in a protected way, with a data contract behind, obviously, in an open way, etc., and respecting the individual and privacy. The third reflection for me is sustainability. And there is a huge scenario where you can apply AI, and in fact, Spain can be ahead of Europe on scope 3. Because many of the companies need to be compliant with CSDR, the new legislation, and AI can help to manage all this kind of information, integrate the scope 3 of providers that you have to report to the regulator what is actually if you are meeting or hitting your objective or CO2 emissions or not. right? So, and that's in a scenario where you have a big opportunity of data sharing. In fact, the bigger one are obviously helping the small one, the scope 3, to start using artificial intelligence. And I think we're telling us to shut up.
Yeah, I think that we have more time
Okay.
because the Prime Minister, I think that the Minister, I think it's not going to be able to come, so we can extend a little bit.
So we can leverage the time to teach you to do some coding if you want
Yeah.
with artificial intelligence.
Some demonstration. Now we've talked about the opportunity, the value, the level of awareness of our boards. Based on the report I mentioned before, 62% of the boards of the Spanish companies surveyed consider AI as a priority on investment. So I think that the attention is huge. But we've also talked about what are the challenges to scale. I think that the key word is how to scale AI. We've talked about talent, about change management, how we can also help the senior employees to adopt AI. I think that employment will change. I think that you've mentioned is not only about to get the response, but how to make the question. And this will also raise the bar in terms of low knowledge for all of us. Ethics and compliance and also governance. I think that we are doing more than what we are telling to the market or outside of our companies. Data as, let's say, the base of AI to train, to share. You've mentioned also, Fuencisla, regarding some cooperation between companies to develop AI. You've mentioned Odisea, other, let's say, groups of interests, and also the investments that the companies in Spain are already carrying out regarding the modernization of the platforms. That is something that, as I mentioned, is the effort we've been doing in the last years. I think that we are, as a country, well prepared. Although I think that we are experimenting, we are learning. But as we are also coming to the end, I would like to ask you, as a headline, what is the biggest opportunity for Spain on AI? Starting Fuencisla in this case.
So I think basically if Spain wants to unlock the AI full potential, which I believe there is a lot and it is very significant, I think we need to continue to be very focused in investing in innovation, investing in competitiveness, and also policymakers need to be very aware or need to promote a legal framework that allows the development of responsible AI and responsible innovation. I think is going to be key. And then continue upskilling and preparing our workforce to the AI transition, because jobs are going to change significantly. And again, I want to be optimistic here because I think we've gone through the digital transition successfully. And here what we need to do is to continue that journey and to continue working very closely public and private sector to make this happen again.
Thank you. Thank you, Fuencisla. Alberto?
No, I agree with Fuencisla on the responsible AI framework. So we need to have this risk-based that enable the companies to start using it without any concern. And in fact, I like to say, when you start an AI project, you better be paranoid and be sure that you are taking the right measure from the beginning. And we are sharing the best practices, and we are sharing the infrastructure and even the tools. So the developers, since the beginning, we are actually offering tools so they can test the algorithm to be sure that it's safe. So it's called content safety. So it allows you to detect if the algorithm has any issue. So responsible AI is the number one. The number two for me is understanding the AI currency and having conversation with boards and with many CEOs. The main point is here, AI does not equal optimization. Not only that, maybe yes, but it's not the point. It's not about automation, it's about augmentation. And it's hard to measure the AI currency, so it's very hard. So in fact, in some cases you have CEOs that are pretty advanced saying, look, I'm not only measuring because I'm gonna save time of the process. No, I'm gonna increase customer satisfaction. I'm gonna increase employee satisfaction. I'm gonna increase number of customers that I'm capturing. I'm gonna reduce churn. So those kind of metrics, sophistication of metrics of AI are for me key, absolutely. So, and because right now, I think that we are a little bit, I would say naive or simplifying, saying hey, AI is gonna save cost. Not true. It's not true. I mean, it's maybe in some specific scenarios true, but in most of the scenarios, it's gonna improve your P&L because it's gonna improve your top line, it's gonna improve your EBITDA, it's gonna improve your cost saving sometimes, but this kind of you see, learning curve is an area where I think we have a big opportunity. And we will continue learning every day and sometimes I'm having this question of what is the best picture you have, the best practice you have in Europe, in worldwide of AI adoption? And it's very hard to say because probably the guy you are talking to is the best practice. Or he's thinking way advanced than the rest. So it's a good opportunity to be ahead of the rest of the countries because everybody is learning.
Thank you, Alberto. Irene, your turn to conclude.
I agree with Alberto that it may be very expensive at the very beginning, so it's our responsibility and the government's responsibility as well to make it affordable to everyone, especially given the amount of small businesses that we have in Spain. But there is a great opportunity for Spain when it comes to AI and digitalization. In terms of talent, and of tech infrastructure, Spain is one of the best positioned countries to become essential to the development of the new digital platform. And it's not only facts, it's not only words, I'm also a big optimistic as Fuencisla is, but I mean there are a lot of facts that sustain this. And for example, when it comes to connectivity, the cables landed in Spain, and we have cables landed in Santander, in Barcelona. We just landed a few weeks ago in Gran Canaria, and the ones that are about to be landed next year will make 70% of the data flow between the US and Europe, excluding the UK, connect through Spain. So it's not only actually words, it's numbers. It's one of the best positioned countries to make it to the next digital platform.
Thank you, Irene. Thank you all. It's been a privilege to share this panel with you. I hope that we've put some light in the status of adoption of AI locally and globally. And thank you very much all for staying here.
Thank you.
Wake up in the